But one of the big things that we see in this story, and again, all of the X-Men stories, is how do we respond to opposition from the world? How do the mutants respond? And how does that maybe reflect ways in which Christians respond to opposition from the world? I think that there are some helpful parallels here. And I think that we see two extremes, but really, because there's two opposing viewpoints, but you can kind of break that down into three extremes. One is isolation, right? At the end, Eric says, if society won't accept us, then we'll form our own. Some Christians respond by isolating, staying separate from the world. The Amish are known for this, but there's other communities as well that in certain ways maintain isolation. We don't need to be in or of the world. We're kind of just, maybe there's ministry happening there, but we're going to then retreat and go back to our own corner. Then we see kind of the other side of Eric's motivations, which is conquest, right? This idea that we're going to take over. They're the enemy. We are the winners. We are the better men, as he says in this movie. Kinda, yeah. In terms of being aligned with Christ. But I worry that some modern Christians maybe take a bit of a conquest viewpoint. Certainly historically, there's been that viewpoint. And then and this is where I would get to maybe a critique of Charles's worldview. Mystique accuses him. She says, no matter how bad the world gets, you just want to be part of it. You just want to be one of them. And man, she's right. That's a fair criticism. He doesn't seem at times to be as basically, I can see why in this story, Mystique is drawn to Eric, right? I mean, because he is protective, he is affirming. It makes sense why she went that way. They did a pretty good job setting up that tension. But I mean, I'm reminded of the sort of idea of this capitulation that, some within liberal Christianity will make, which is that the world needs to accept us, the world needs to understand us. And so it's okay if we cave on the doctrine of hell or the doctrine of sexuality. If we cave on these things, then, we want them to see our value. We want to prove our worth to them. And so we want to coexist with them. And this is where we get back to the laden,
and Beast reflects that too, right? Nicholas Holt's character, he's like I will do anything to fit in, and what he actually does makes him worse, right? It like worsens his condition, right? Everything he's doing actually is counterproductive to his ends, and so there's actually a little lesson there too. It's like you're actually just making the whole situation worse with your meddling and your intentions are right. He's trying to fit in and compromise in every way possible, and even mess around with his mutant genes and all that. And it just he winds up in a worse place than he desired to be, a worse place than he was, and he wanted something different. I don't. If I really wanted to stretch that, I'd say that we could even take that to some other forms of surgical and experimentation and manipulation to try to be things that we're not, that are happening right now in our culture as well. So,
you
whereas
could.
now it's like,
very easily could, right?
We hope you enjoyed this snack-sized taste of Popcorn Theology. Check out the full episode using the link in the description. Subscribe on YouTube for more content. Follow and interact on social media to share with others. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.